Hello, hello. It is time to talk about MMA again. And actually, you know what? I'm doing this podcast a little bit later than I usually do. Usually I record in the morning. But today, your boy had a job interview. So I had to go do that. I had to go get that done. I'm back. I'm ready. I've had lunch. I'm good to go. And it's kind of good because we have news. Twitter is alight. Is alight with UFC talk once again for all the wrong reasons. Dustin Poirier's fight with Benoit Saint Denis apparently was never signed. Apparently, the UFC was once again promoting a fight that they didn't have on the books. And I actually kind of thought this was going to happen. I'm not going to claim I made like a great Nostradamus style prediction or anything, but I kind of thought this would happen because I looked at that fight. Benoit Saint Denis, number 11 ranked guy in the division. No ranked wins. Mavrovola probably should be a ranked win, but he's not. And the number 3 fighter, guy in not title contention because of course he lost the BMF belt to Justin Gaethje, and obviously you can't do a title fight off of that. But a guy who was very much in the contender sphere of lightweight, fighting each other just seemed really wrong. I kind of let my excitement that I'm like, hey, this is kind of a neat fight. This is kind of an interesting dynamic. I actually have really come around on the idea that Benoit Saint Denis, actually pretty good. This is cool. This is neat. I really appreciate Dustin Poirier accepting this fight. But you know, the devil's advocate in my brain should have won out with the whole, you know what, this fight's probably not going to happen. Also, Sean Brady versus Vincente Luque, another fight promoted without actually being booked. Now, people are going, we're already seeing this. People are already blaming the fighters, and probably Dana White will go on a smear campaign against Dustin Poirier. I don't fault the fighters at all. I've said this repetitively, and I don't understand why the UFC does this. People will suggest it's to sell tickets. You put Poirier on the card, people buy. Looking at the gates and looking at ticket progression of cards that have, we'll call it legit advertising, they sell very high. The price is very high. Just putting on a UFC card does good ticket sales. The UFC came to Toronto not that long ago. Before there were any fights anybody was excited about. We had Pennington versus MBS. We had like half the ticket sales already done. And then they announced some more fights and the prices went up or whatever. So I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but like you're really squeezing every penny on this. Like you already have a profitable arrangement. Why do you keep doing this? Why? I think it's to try to flex power over the fighters. You know, you will do what we say. And if you don't, we'll come for you. The issue with that to me is, ironically, this kind of like continues to reinforce my idea that fighter pay has to go up. Because if fighter pay goes up and they're full-time fighters, ironically, you're taking away leverage. Ironically, the fighters have to fight to make money. Like that's kind of the thing is that like you got a guy like Poirier who has a bunch of side business deals at this point that probably pay more than he does as a fighter. He doesn't have them without the UFC. I grant that. I fully grant that. But because the UFC is what it is, the pay structure is what it is, the activity is what it is, he has gone out and created a little business empire for himself and doesn't have to fight. Conor McGregor, same thing. Other guys have, of course, had more mundane jobs. Drywaller, auto mechanic, HVAC, whatever. Ally Quinta was a big one when he won his fight with the UFC to get his contract removed from show and win money for like just a flat big arse rate for his purse. He did that because he had gone out and become a real estate guy. That's the thing. If you just paid these fighters more, they would actually just be full-time fighters. They would just be full-time fighters. They'd ironically need you to book them more. I love it when these things backfire. I do. Because I've said this repetitively. People are like, you're just bleeding heart for the fighters or whatever when it comes to the UFC's pay model, antitrust, fighter pay, image rights, benefits, all these things. No. If I was in charge of the UFC, here's the thing. There are business reasons to change the business model. There are long-term business ideas to keep up the brand value, the brand trust, the integrity, and the ability to make things happen. You pay the fighters more. They become better because they're training more, because they don't have to work another job. You might actually bring in some, like, slightly higher level athletes. Not NFL caliber or whatever. Like, you're not going to compete with the NFL. You're not going to compete with the NBA. But you're going to, pick up some spots there. You might get a college athlete who still wants to compete, doesn't mind the violent aspect of things, but like looks at 10 and 10 and says, no thanks. I'll go use my degree. I'll get a pretty decent 5-figure job. There you go. Yeah, anyways. And not get a bunch of brain trauma. But anyways, yeah. There's my anti-UFC rant for the day. Well, not really, because I'm not loving this fight card. There are some fights on this card that I have like a morbid curiosity for. The main event. For example, Kizrev versus Muradov, Charles Johnson versus Azat. Well, no, you know what? Charles Johnson Azat Maxim. I'm actually legitimately hyped for. It's not a morbid fascination. Garimbo Rodriguez, Builder Lee, Stolyarenko Carolina, Peterson Pokes. Those are all like kind of like morbid fascination, and then like legitimately good fights. Moicano Dober. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Arujo Silva. I'm looking forward to Maxim Johnson, like I said. And I'm actually really looking forward to Markel Medeiros versus Lenny Quinones. That is some solid booking, in my opinion. That is scintillating. Let's start at the top and work our way down. We got Roman Dolidze versus Nasruddin Imavov as our main event. These are both fighters I have a hard time getting behind. Not because they are bad, but because what they do is just very, very physical and kind of dumb. What I mean by that is they're both kind of, in their own way, how shall I put this? Bully fighters. With Dolidze, I mean, if you want Dolidze's example of this, the Staropoli fight was a great example of this, where it's just like, I have a strong grip and clinch game, and I'm going to knee you in the butt, and you can do nothing about it. It is boring as sin. I'm going to laugh about it. But it's a hilariously bad fight. And that's just kind of the thing, is like he'll just do dumb things that don't really make any sense. They're not technically set up. They're not even good ideas. They just work because Roman Dolidze is kind of in that Dricus du Plessis mold of, so you're just kind of a freak. Like you're just kind of freakish. And Nasruddin Imavov is very, very physical, but his style kind of just relies on being able to bully. Like it's more technically built. It's more sound. It's more good, but like it just kind of breaks down when he can't impose a physical will on people. And I'm kind of left assuming he can't do that to Dolidze. I'm kind of left assuming that Roman Dolidze, who has generally gone out there and bullied some people, has bullied some folks, I'll tell you what, like Staropoli, at times, honestly, like Marvin Vittori, Jack Hermanson, Phil Haas, Kyle Daukaus. Now, I would argue that Imavov is kind of above all of those guys, but like Imavov fought Phil Haas and he lost. And it's not MMA math, but it's like the physicality of Dolidze was far too much for Phil Haas, and Imavov's wasn't. Imavov, his high watermark in terms of a win, Joaquin Buckley, who is like his own like super short man problems, but like, lost to Sean Strickland, lost to Phil Haas. Clash your heads with Chris Curtis, not going to blame for that. But like Edmund Shabazian has all kinds of problems. Then like Ian Heinisch, who just broken. I don't have you'll notice I'm not really explaining this on a technical level because there isn't a technical level to this pick. It's just kind of like Dolidze is going to deny Imavov being able to like kind of chill in the clinch, which is something he does. The reach advantage is not in Imavov's favor. He has a 75-inch reach to Dolidze's 76-inch reach. He's used to having a considerable reach advantage. He does not have it here. And Dolidze has that kind of power and just like raw crazy man stuff that he's not going to be deterred from just kind of marching Imavov down. I've got to go with Dolidze to win by TKO at some point. Maybe submission. Also, I don't know. It's not really founded because Imavov had a like pretty good 5th round against Sean Strickland. So this is kind of counter to what I'm about to say. But I do feel like Imavov does have like a cardio issue. Not that he gets exhausted, stays exhausted, whatever. I think he gets a second wind. That would explain the Strickland 5th round. But I do believe that like around like the 3rd or 4th round, in most of his fights, he starts to kind of fall behind. And not that Dolidze has necessarily the greatest cardio in the world, but he's insane and just keeps going. So like I just think he kind of breaks him. So yeah, Roman Dolidze, he's the underdog at plus 130 to plus 142. Imavov is the minus 160 to minus 175. I have no issues with those odds. This is a close fight. This is a battle which either guy winning this fight would be by far the highest watermark of their career. Because with Dolidze, it's currently Jack Hermansson. With Imavov, it's currently what did I say? Joaquin Buckley. And both of these would be far higher marks than that. Renato Moicano versus Drew Dober. Why is this at the Apex? That's the question that people are like asking pretty constantly. This is an Apex card, by the way. Also, the quick gambling rant. Do not bet on MMA if you cannot afford to lose the money, because this is MMA. Random stuff will happen. I set aside a little bit of money at the start of the year. That money basically just goes throughout the year, being put back in. If it ever hits 0, I stop betting. There you go. Anyways. Drew Dober versus Renato Moicano. I think watching Dober get kind of worked over by Matt Favola is just shaking my faith in Dober. It was Matt Favola, right? I'm gonna be very, very disappointed in myself. It's not Favola that I'm thinking of. No, it's Favola. It's Favola. And like, getting in trouble with Terrence McKinney as well, getting in trouble with Rafael Alves as well. Looked good against Bobby Green, looked good against Ricky Glenn, but like they're notable, not big hitters. So like I'm kind of worried that like Drew Dober, the blood and guts, live or die, go out on your shield type of guy, just doesn't really have the shield anymore, i.e. the chin, the durability. I'm not sure that it is still there. Maybe I'm overreacting. That being said, I think I'd pick Moicano anyways. Renato Moicano is the taller of these two fighters by 3 inches. He has 2 inches of reach. He has a naturally larger frame that allows him to, work at range. Dober has never been the greatest guy at closing range. If you really look at his fights, what tends to happen is people either don't really have an outside game against him, or they break their own outside game down and come inside. When people don't do that, and admittedly, this is incredibly rare because I had to go back to like 2014 with Nick Hine to get an example of this. But he just kind of gets stuck out there. Not really able to apply his power the way that he would want to. Not really able to do the things that realistically make him. And like Moicano actually has a really good low kicking game. actually has a really good jab by MMA standards. He has good spatial awareness. He has good footwork. He's also a fantastic grappler. Not that I think it's going to come to that, because Dober's hard to take down, so I don't see Moicano taking this to the ground. And I don't see Dober taking Moicano down, because he doesn't really do that. It's kind of weird. He is the Nebraska boy that doesn't wrestle. It's a little strange. So I just kind of have Moicano winning a decision, like, kind of outpacing him, putting on the volume, working behind the jab, working the low kick. If it goes to the ground, he's the one that has the danger zone on Dober, not the other way around. Yes, Dober, if he gets some pocket exchanges, he's got that heater, he's got that power, but it's not like Moicano hasn't dealt with big hitters before. He has dealt with some very big hitters over the course of his UFC career. Jeremy Stevens has been on that list. He's also dealt with Zabir Tukugov, who's a pretty big hitter, flawed fighter, horribly flawed fighter, but big hitter. Calvin Kattar, Cub Swanson, Damir Hadzovic. Only thing he has is power. Jai Herbert, Alexander Hernandez. These are all, fairly big hitters. And the guys who have beaten him are not that he's not knockoutable. Jose Aldo knocked him out. Chan Sung Jung knocked him out. Rafael Fiziev knocked him out. But these are also, outside of maybe Jung, far more talented strikers than Dober. And then the submission loss to Ortega in a fight that he was winning. And then Rafael Dos Anjos doing Rafael Dos Anjos things. It's just, there isn't a loss outside of, I guess, the Fiziev one that looks like this, but Fiziev is a much more diverse, much more technical, much more nuanced version of what Dober kind of wants to do. So I got to take Moicano. The betting odds are on my side. Moicano is a minus 180 to minus 200 favorite. Dober plus 148 to plus 163. I have no problems with those odds. Respects Dober and his punching power. Randy Brown versus Muslim Salikov. I broke this fight down before. Time hasn't stopped. Salikov is 39 years old. Rebooking this fight down through the ages is not going to help him. Brown is a much taller guy, better athlete. Does tend to do some dumb stuff. He'll do some off script stuff. He'll have something that's clearly working, and then he'll go away from it, give the guy what he wants, sort of thing. That being said, I think he can just avoid Salikov's kind of low output. Admittedly, very technical, very creative game, good power, but it's low output. It doesn't really sucker you into things. It could be outpaced. Salikov is a good wrestler, but he doesn't really engage in the wrestling. His wrestling comes off of counter wrestling a lot more than anything else. So as long as Brown is not hey, I want to shoot on the big Russian, it should be fine. Brown by decision. He's a minus 250 to minus 280 favorite. Salikov plus 196 to plus 230. Is he? Okay, he is not the biggest favorite on the card. I was thinking for a second he might be. He is the third largest favorite on the card, Randy Brown. And probably, in my opinion, one of the safest picks. Viviana Rougeau versus Natalia Silva. This is another pretty safe pick, I think. A pretty obvious fight. Interesting note here. Natalia Silva is one of the few people who doesn't have an age on Tapology. Or was it just her birthday when I was looking at this? Because normally they get it down to the day. No, they have a birthday for her. I wonder what was. Hang on, was it just her birthday? No, they still have her listed as 27 years old, on the nose. And it wasn't her birthday. She's actually not even 27 yet. Actually, her birthday is February 3rd. Anyways, I don't know. Interesting little quirk of Tapology that probably no one listening to this cares about, but I did. Yeah, we have Viviana Rougeau versus Natalia Silva. Natalia Silva has been one of the best, prospects in a long time at the flyweight division, which is saying something because Aaron Blanchfield, but flyweight has been in a bit of a golden age here for newcomers, new blood, and Natalia Silva certainly has been amongst them. Came out on the scene, beat Jasmine Jasudavicius. Beat her badly. It went to decision, but do not let that decision fool you. That was a beatdown. Then she had the spinning back kick knockout of Teresa Bleda. She destroyed Victoria Leonardo. Don't really care. And then she beat Andrea Lee. So, Vivi Araujo is a nice step up there. Not necessarily a different challenge from Andrea Lee, but like a little bit more physically capable one. Andrea Lee has like very good physical attributes, but like they're very specific. There are gaps in her game. She's got serious foot speed issues, not the fastest hands. Like she's just very, very, very strong. Araujo is more a well-rounded physical test. But that's kind of the problem here, is that Araujo tends to win when she has speed and explosiveness over an opponent. Her wins over Jennifer Maia, Andrea Lee herself, Roxanne Modafferi, Montana Del Rosa, Alexis Davis. These all have the hallmark of people who are a little bit physically underwhelming in the speed and explosiveness department. Toledo Bernardo is the only exception to this, but Bernardo is her own special mess. We'll just put it that way. Araujo's striking is pretty repetitive. It's not necessarily bad, but she runs out of ideas and like will keep going back to the well of like the same thing over and over and over again. And it's like any like particularly fast striker, I think, will just outmaneuver that. She has a grappling game. She has a takedown game, but she really doesn't lean on that takedown. She hasn't leaned on that takedown game in like some time. And Natalia Silva, pretty good counter scrambler, pretty hard to control. Not necessarily hard to get a clinch with or get a takedown on, but like very, very hard to control. She is fast. She is a fantastic athlete. She's a physical force. I thought she would be like pretty small at 125. Still do kind of think that 5'4", 65-inch reach. It's a little bit small. Like Vivi Araujo, for example, is 5'4", 68-inch reach. A little bit more stacked. Did fight at 115. So, an example that like, I don't know. I still have that little bit of a worry, but like this is not the moment that really is a problem, I think. So yeah, I have concerns that Silva will get taken down at some point, but I think she'll out-scramble her. Vivi Araujo's not exactly what I would call like a super, super, super venomous grappler, dynamic grappler. She's not dangerous. She's more lockdown. And I just don't think that that's really the way to beat Silva. Like Silva's losses early in her career were by submission because like you can get her down and, she will give you openings to do something. It wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, can you believe that Vivi Araujo just went out there and guillotined Natalia Silva? No, it's an option. It's an option. But I just think that Araujo's become more of like a decision winner. And when put up against someone who has like dynamic, violent offense and like the physical attributes to outdo her, I can't pick her. So I got Silva by decision. She is the biggest favorite on the card, minus 345 to minus 370. Araujo plus 255 to plus 280. I just want to make sure. Is she the biggest favorite on the card? Yeah, there's not even anything particularly close. So yeah, I imagine a lot of people will be picking Natalia Silva. So I'm hardly new on that one. Oh man, I could never say this guy's first name correctly. Aliashkab Kizria versus Mahmoud Muradov. Battle of middleweights that are very, very middleweighty because they're kind of only really good at one thing. and I think at the end of the day, what this comes down to is I think Muradov is better at like an auxiliary skill set, but like also is willing to go to that auxiliary skill set in a way that is harmful to him because Kizriev is a very good wrestler, but he's also a 5'9", 74-inch middleweight. Although actually the 74 inches is actually not that short. The reach is not bad, but his height he's very small. He really does feel like a 170 guy. I have no idea what he's doing at 185. Closes distance well. He's good at wrestling. Takedowns are very solid. His ground and pound has a little bit of venom to it. He'll take a submission if it's there. Doesn't really force the submission at all. Doesn't really go hunting for it. He's quite happy to just kind of control things and wait for a decision. I have a note here. It's like he doesn't seem big enough. He doesn't. He's he's a think tank boy, but I've seen thicker dudes down at 170 with the same height. Like it's, I don't know. This is a major step up for him because I mean his pre-UFC resume is it is what it is. It's pre-UFC, it's regional scene stuff, and then he beat Denis Tialunin, who is like the lowest of the low on the roster. On to Muradov. Muradov is the boxer. I actually really like him as a striker. When he gets to have just like striking battles, it's actually really pretty. There's some nice counters he puts in there. There's some creativity. He works into his stuff. Like really, I just wish they did that with him, because the problem is, and I guess like he is also the problem here because trying to remember who it was, but there was a fight they put him in that was supposed to be like a striker battle, and he became the wrestler. Yeah, it was Brian Barberena. It was the last fight where he would just get taken down. He became the rinse and repeat wrestler. And that's the big question, I guess, is that Muradov is a better grappler than most one-trick pony strikers. But he's way too willing to actually do the grappling. And if he goes to the ground with Khizriev, I can't help but think that he's going to end up on bottom. He's going to get out scrambled. He's going to get beat up. He's going to get possibly even submitted. I'll go with a decision for Khizriev, but like, yeah, that is the problem. Like if Muradov can just kind of like stay at range, shut the wrestling down, make Khizriev pay for being 5'9" at a weight class that generally isn't 5'9", and work his jab, work his combinations, do his stuff, be the fun striker he is. He could easily win this fight. But yeah, I got to go Khizriev by decision. Khizriev is minus 145 to minus 167. Muradov plus 120 to plus 135. If you're going to bet on that fight, I don't necessarily recommend you do, but like I would have to think that the underdog Muradov is the only place to go with that, because I don't know, betting on Khizriev at favorite odds to win, just I don't. There's no appeal for me there. But you could stick it on a parlay or something. Gilbert Urbina, Charles Radtke. I have no idea why this fight is on the main card. In fact, I am going to refresh the card here real quick. You're going to hear a couple of clicks, and I'm going to see, is this still a main card fight? It is still a main card fight. This is a main card fight over Charles Johnson, Azat Maximov, and Molly McCann. I don't even like Molly McCann, but what the heck? And Stolyarenko, Leona Carolina. I don't get it. It makes no sense. I think actually originally Natalia Silva was on the undercard for this. People have defended this fight by saying that it's like because there was a whole thing on Twitter about I think it was when Natalia Silva was on the undercard, people complaining about it, and I singled out this fight as like, this is the fight that is on the main card that is BS. It's going to be bad. And people push back. They're like, no, it's going to be a fun fight. It'll be, what are you talking about? Charles Radtke is a warrior. Gilbert Urbina is like this young, up-and-coming prospect. Neither of these are true. You guys like Charles Radtke because he said slurs. That's it. That's it, because there's no way someone who didn't watch the post-fight of Charles Radtke versus Blood Diamond and just watched the fight has any hype or any help for Charles Radtke. None whatsoever. And Gilbert Urbina, he's fine. He's got good size for the division, 6'3", 75-inch reach. He's got some exciting little, offensive moves. I thought he would be just kind of like a tough finalist who was like just immediately gone. But his last fight was actually pretty good, if I recall correctly. Yeah, it was the Orion Koshi fight. Problem is the Koshi brothers just are not that good. They're pretty one-dimensional. They're Team Alpha Male guys who fight at weight classes the Team Alpha Male don't fight at. That's just all there is to it. And I don't know. Urbina's going to win this fight. He's 5 inches taller, 3 inches longer. Radtke really, really wants to be like this warrior, live or die, kind of Mickey Ward inspired pocket striker, but he's not good at it. He's really not. It shows that the best moments of his fights are always like clinch wrestling. That's what he's actually kind of good at. But he doesn't really have a way of getting there because, number one, he didn't want to. And number two, well, I mean, I actually don't know what the number two is. Like, I kind of wonder, like, if he just like if he just embraced the fact that he is like, you know, a spiritual successor to John Fitch, if he would just actually be able to clinch really well. I don't know. But like his best thing is clinching, and like Urbina being as tall as he is, being as long as he is, comparatively speaking, he should be able to just not go there. Just like keep it outside, keep picking him apart, keep using the fact that you're a reasonable, although not fantastic athlete, and Radtke isn't. Radtke is a guy who I still, well, I know why he's in the UFC. He was brought in to lose the Blood Diamond. Why is he on the main card? I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll be fun and I'm just not realizing it. I mean, Urbina could be dumb, but, well, no, here's the thing. Like, because if Urbina is dumb and he engages Radtke kind of in a clinch striking fight, in a pocket battle that leads to clinching or whatever, I don't think that'll be good. That'll be, like, that's bad. It's more competitive, but that's bad. I don't know. I really don't like this fight. I really don't. I'm Urbina by decision. Let's just move on. Minus 192 to minus 215 for Urbina. Radtke plus 155 plus 170. Go. Undercard. Molly McCann, Deanna Belbita. This is a rematch of a fight that happened at 125 a while ago. It's now at 115. Essentially, this just comes down to a simple fact. Does Molly McCann make the weight nicely? Because she's not too big for it. She's 5'4", 6'2" reach. Smaller than Natalia Silva, who I talked about, like, you know, probably wanting to fight 115 realistically. She's smaller than Vivia Rougeau, who has fought 115. I don't know. I don't know how much I trust that gym. I mean, it's Patty Pimblett's gym. Like, Patty Pimblett, like, if Patty Pimblett is any indication, they're actually really good at weight cutting, but like not healthy. So I don't know. If McCann makes 115, looks good on the scales. She has a stronger grappling game. She has a stronger takedown game. She was able to basically bully Belbita the first time they fought. Belbita is a long fighter, 5'7", 68-inch reach. At 115, that's quite large. It's quite large. But she doesn't have a lot of like power or a lot of foot speed or a lot of ability to maintain range. She ends up in the clinch with just about anybody. McCann by decision. I don't know. It's just, it comes down to the weight cut. McMahon is a minus 250 to minus 278 favorite. Belbita is plus 200 to plus 220. Charles Johnson versus Azat Maxim. Now, I need to get this out of the way right away. There are a lot of people who are very, very high on Azat Maxim. There are people that I respect. There are people that I honestly assume are probably are quite possibly are correct, and I'm just not seeing it. So that's the disclaimer right now because I'm picking the underdog Charles Johnson. This is a late notice replacement, obviously. Johnson is coming off 3 losses, but I thought Maxim lost personally to Tyson Nam. That's my personal opinion. I'm not saying you're crazy if you thought Maxim won. But it just feels like the things that tend to be Johnson's big problem, be that, you know, big bullying grappling, like a missing weight Rafael Estevam, or a who else was it? Cody Durden. That Maxim's sort of like low for flyweight output, low sizzle striking game. Really just kind of suits Charles Johnson. It's a lot like the Zhalga Zhumagulov fight that Johnson had and won. Maxim, I think, has a better wrestling game than Zhumagulov. I think he's a better grappler. But I think, like, as a striker, quite similar. I hope to be wrong. This is one of those cases where, like, a lot of people I trust are, like, really high on Maxim. I'm not seeing it. I'm hoping it's right because having a new, fresh face at flyweight to make some exciting fights happen, to do some things, to create some permutations within the rankings is ideal. It's what I want. And Charles Johnson just isn't that guy. He's 33 years old. That's, heading towards the end of the prime. He's also fought a lot of the guys who kind of are in that up-and-coming class. He did lose to Mohamed Mokaev, even if it was a bit of a exposure moment for Mokaev. He did lose to Ode Osborne. He did lose to, as I said, Cody Durden and Rafael Estevan. Went to war with Shalgas Jumakulov. So, it's not like Charles Johnson's going to be that guy who's going to make things happen in this division. If either of these guys are going to do it, it is Maxim. But I just can't get around it. I keep trying to convince myself that Maxim is something really, really, really good. Really good. But I just feel like he's kind of a... he's kind of a guy who relies on being tall and long and being, consistent and good form and, reasonably stinging as a striker. And either you just accept to exchange with him at his terms repetitively and he wins, or you panic, you try to wrestle with him. He shows off his grappling chops and he beats you there. And it's Johnson can opt for the first one. He's got a similar reach. They have the same reach, apparently, both 70 inches. He's taller. He's a good range boxer in his own right. And he can kind of play Maxim's game and win. That's what I got to go with. Maxim is the minus 200 to minus 235 favorite. Johnson plus 165 to plus 185. I'll be putting money on Johnson. Themba Gorimbo versus Pete Rodriguez. Not a good fight. It might be a fun fight, but it's not UFC caliber. That's what I'm going with. Gorimbo is pretty good athlete, actually. Great story. I want to see him do well. I want to see this guy who came over from Africa to the United States. He's got the scars. He's got the background of, frankly, slavery. I want to see him do something. But I don't feel great about MMA Masters functioning, bringing this this hustle, this scrappy takedown game into its own, because I don't think he's really built for it. He's a 6'1", 77-inch reach guy at welterweight, and that usually isn't the guys who do this kind of game. Now, I will say, I am really hoping he develops some kind of cool choke game, because he's got the arms for it. He's got those spiderly arms to grab necks and work the chokes, rear nakeds, guillotines, ninja chokes, Darce chokes. Could be so fun. But beating Takeshi Sato just doesn't really mean anything. He was kind of crushed by AJ Fletcher. That being said, I am taking him here because Pete Rodriguez has knocked out a bunch of bums. And I include that his win over Mike Jackson in the bum category. He got worked by Jack Della Maddalena. I'm not going to hold that against him. That's just a fight that in hindsight made 0 sense. But he's small, 5'9", 73 inches, welterweight, power punching guy, doesn't feel particularly athletic. I don't know. Gorimbo to just kind of out hustle and put him down a couple times with some takedowns and get the decision. Gorimbo minus 250 to minus 286. That's a lie. And Rodriguez plus 200 to plus 210. I'll probably steer clear of that one, but if I am betting on that one, it is on the dog. Pete Rodriguez. Blake Bilder versus Jung Young Lee. I think I said that right. I don't know. I didn't realize that Bilder was 33 before reviewing this fight. And it kind of really put a wet towel on this fight, because I looked at Bilder and I was like, you know what, this guy's a pretty athletic guy. He's pretty strong, pretty powerful. He's got some good speed, good explosiveness. He's got some good baseline skills that just kind of need time to develop. And then realizing he's 33 years old, I'm like, I don't know if he's got that time. It's not like this is heavyweight or anything. Yeah, I mean, well-rounded, not deep anywhere. Like would be how I describe him. Like kind of dangerous because again, explosive, hard-hitting. Has some submission ideas that he likes to threaten with. But he's not great at like controlling range. He's not great at putting together volume. And outside of like the third Young and Shane Young, there's another case where like there's a random example of like someone doing it, but like there's a lot of like problems with that because like Shane Young is just like a blank book for him. Like you want to hit me, go ahead. That was Shane Young. And he finally started doing it in the third round where he started like actually taking over the fight and, putting a pace on him. I'm also really not sold on Jung Young Lee. I don't know a lot about Lee. Is I think maybe the problem here because in the case of Lee, you got a guy who fought in Road FC, and Road FC is a good promotion, but it's one that I just don't watch. So the problem is I'm looking through his background here. I'm looking for footage. I'm trying to find it, and it's like okay, I'm just seeing like him go out there and just kind of be like tall, long, which works. He's 5'10", 73-inch reach at featherweight, not bad. And just kind of like kind of just bang it out with people who don't know how to really bang. And then he gets to the UFC technically the finals of the road to the UFC against Yi. I think was his name, or E, I forget. And he goes out there and he just kind of gets like wrestled repetitively over and over again. And like he scrambles well and he gets back up and he's like never really in danger and whatever. But like, I'm just like, you're not good. Like you're a good athlete. You're 28 years old. I got faith. You can turn into something. Don't get me wrong. If one of these is in the UFC in 5 years, it's going to be Lee. It's not Builder. But there's a lot of work to be done there. And I didn't know who to pick. I was in this one like I have no idea. I don't know. They're both athletic guys who are really, really flawed. And I don't know what to do with that. So what I did here is I wrote down underdog by decision. That was my pick. And then I looked at the betting odds. Lee is minus 142 to minus 156. Builder's plus 120 to plus 125. I'm picking Builder. Not because I think he's even going to win. I don't know who's going to win. I have no idea. I'm lost. But if I'm going to gamble, if I'm going to pick someone I'm not confident in, it might as well be the dog. Yeah. Juliana Stoliarenko versus Lena Carolina, 125-pound fight. So this is another weight cut fight, essentially. Stoliarenko looked fine against Molly McCann, but it was like a really, really quick fight. Really quick. And she did seem a little bit too big to be making this cut to 125. That being said, she did it. She got on the scales. She didn't look like death. She went out there. She did her thing. She is a one-trick pony. She clinches. She takes you down. She goes for arm bars. That's what she does. That's all she does. There's no real striking game. She will throw kicks, but like I swear the kicks are like, yeah, catch my kick. Come on, let's go to the ground. Let's go to the ground. I don't care if I'm on top. I'll be on bottom. I'll still go for arm bars. And in Carolina's case, you have someone who decent physical tools, no structure whatsoever, ends up in the clinch with just about everyone. She's been taken down by every UFC opponent she has had, except for zombie girl Priscilla Cachoeira, who is Priscilla Cachoeira. And that's really all that needs to be said. She did stuff a lot of Luque Godinez's takedowns. Like, remember that? Like, she held Luque to a 2 for 15. That was like a weirdly like good performance, but it's like not reflective in anything else she's done. She's a better striker than Stoliarenko, but she ends up in the clinch. She will probably get taken down. She does seem to be like actually okay as far as not getting submitted is concerned. She has been submitted by Ariane Lipsky with a pretty slick D-bar. I don't know if Stoliarenko really has much more than just arm bars, frankly. But I don't know. I just think that she'll end up in trouble. She'll get tapped. And I may regret this if Stoliarenko comes out and just looks dead on the scale. I don't know. It's possible. But I got to go with Stoliarenko by submission. She is a minus 133 to minus 150 favorite. And Carolina plus 108 to plus 125. I wonder what is the prop on by submission? Kind of intrigued. Does Best Fight Odds even keep track of them? Oh, here we go. You can only get Stoliarenko at about plus 200 on submission. Yeah, it's not really anything here. Not really. I mean, you could do. I mean, if you feel Carolina's going to win, like almost everything's underdog. If you really want to take a flyer, plus 1,700 on Carolina by submission is in play. Yeah. Anyways, it might be a fun fight. Markel Medeiros versus Landon Quinones. This is a very interesting one because like these are like the two opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to prospects. Medeiros, good athlete. Looking at him, I'm like, dude's got power, dude's got strength, dude's got speed, dude's got explosiveness. He's working with Factory X Muay Thai. That's a good gym. They're gonna do some things with him, but can crusher. Shallow record, nothing but shallow records or guys who are like 8-8, 8-5 on that record before he got to fighting in Dana White Contender Series against a guy who's just not very good. So that's the thing, is like we haven't seen him against a good fighter. And to be clear, like he's young enough in his career that that's not really unusual. I'm not pushing I'm not pushing the fraud button. I'm not pointing a finger to like mismanagement or whatever. He's a UFC debutant, hasn't done much. This is the biggest step up he's ever had. There you go. But I like what I say. There's a little bit of creativity. He's hard to take down. He is bad at creating separation on clinches, though. I will say that. That is something that needs work. And there is a tendency to run out in longer exchanges of ideas. That's concerning because Quinones is kind of the opposite. Underwhelming athlete, but with good instincts, good depth, and the ability to like prolong things into longer situations that he starts to win because he starts to outthink people. He had a really good fight against Nasrat Haqparast. He lost, but he made Haqparast really uncomfortable. He made Haqparast try new things, which is something that is just stunning. But yeah, it's kind of that thing where like we have the athlete who's very unproven. We have the technician who's proven to be a tough out, but not necessarily a winner. I'm going to have to go with Medeiros by decision. I'm going to have to go with the athlete. There are legitimate hopes that like with the athletic tools he has that Factory X can make him into something. Because Factory X is a good gym. They're a gym that not for everyone, because Alexander Hernandez has, because he could turn into Alexander Hernandez 2.0, and that wouldn't be great. But he could turn into something really, really good. Like this is the gym that produced Chris Gutierrez, Jonathan Martinez. Like they are good at like developing like deeper technical striking games. So I'm just gonna kind of gamble on like that's the case. That the depth, the lack of depth I'm seeing in his fights is more of a product of him just not needing it. Just having it in the back pocket, having it as a surprise X factor that just hasn't happened before. That he's gotten away with just kind of like, okay, I'm going to low kick you. I'm going to stop your takedowns. And I'm going to blast you with something upstairs. You're going to go unconscious. And that's how this is going to go. This is how it's going to go. And hopefully there's a little something more there. Medeiros is the favored at minus 130 to minus 148. Quinones plus 100 to plus 116. I'm wondering what is the... I don't usually look at the props, but kind of curious. What's the fight goes the distance? Yeah, it's not really anything there. I was gonna say because I'm having a hard time seeing them finishing each other. Thomas Peterson versus Jamal Pogues. I could see it's a 2-2 outcome fight. Okay, Peterson is a hyper aggressive wrestler grappler who has about maybe 1.5 rounds of cardio. He gets tired and then he loses. And now, to be clear, only like one guy has survived to get through the whole, like, cardio part. That was Waldo Cortez Acosta, who, as much as I don't like him, actually a pretty good fighter. But like, even in his fight with like Corey Mogenberg in the second round, he looked tired. He looked exhausted. Even in the Chandler Cole fight on the Dana White Contender Series, 1 minute 8 seconds into the second round, he looks tired. He can go out there, he just take down Pogues and like do his thing. He's a fierce ground and pounder with some like submission ideas, power sub game. Reminds me of, I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess he reminds me mostly of like a Mark Coleman back in the day, but without like the overwhelming physicality. So the question is that like I'm a little mad with Jamal Pogues. He convinced me that Mick Parkin was a good fighter. He convinced me that Mick Parkin was going to do some things, and it led me to picking Mick Parkin and looking like an idiot. Although Parkin did still win, but like it led to me using flowery language about Mick Parkin being like a really good heavyweight prospect. So the question is just how bad is Pogues? Because outside of his first career fight, he hasn't been blown out of the water. And he's got a decent jab. He's got a decent range game. He's got some decent combinations. He lacks the power and the strength of a proper heavyweight. This is shown by the fact that like he started going to decisions on the regional scene at heavyweight. That's a bad sign. There's no big knockout power. There's no overwhelming strength and size. But I'm gonna go with him. I may end up regretting this, but like I just assume he can weather the storm. He can go out there with Peterson, make Peterson chase him a bit, deny Peterson some wrestling entries. When Peterson gets the wrestling entries, I'm sure he'll get a takedown, but Pogues will kind of survive because he's got composure and so on. Get back to his feet, wait for him to tire out, and then just like TKO him because he's exhausted. TKO from exhaustion would be the pick. Hopefully, if this goes a decision, oh my God. Heavyweight MMA. Anyways, Peterson the favorite at minus 165 to minus 186. Pogue plus 135 to plus 144. Never bet on Thomas Peterson at minus odds. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do it. Also, don't bet on Pogues either. But I am going with Pogues. Anyways, check out the links in the description. Mostly, I think, below, but like wherever it happens to be. And I'll see you after the fights. Please check out my Twitch. Please check out my Discord. The Discord is a fun place. If you enjoy, like, if you're a little bit nerdy and you're a fight fan, it's the place for you because we do the fight simulator. You can create a fighter, you can guide it through its career, and we can have some fun. Let's go!